Now I've got make sure you cover your arse.
Yeah.
Which is a rule that's built in, and we learn that pretty quickly when we get kicked up the arse. We think, right, I'm going to cover myself from now
What
on.
do the Clintons call it? What's it? Plausible deniability.
Plausible deniability.
Yes. And don't write down anything incriminating. There's a subsection for that, isn't
Yeah,
there?
yeah.
If you follow the process...
Or pull the plug on your computer if you do.
Yes. How about this? If you follow the process, you can't be blamed.
That's true.
Well,
yeah.
I followed the process.
No, that's...
Did as I was told.
Yeah.
See, in an organisation of compliance and conformance and command and control, if you don't follow the process, you're culpable, whatever happens.
Yeah.
So
those car places that are letting you down, they're going, well, but I followed the process.
Yeah, I did.
I filled in the form, I sent the order off.
I knew
they're all going...
I knew it wouldn't work, but
Yes.
what I couldn't do was derail the process.
Yeah.
Because I would be culpable at that point, and the
That's
complaint
too
was...
risky.
I don't know they do. I think I did my bit.
Yeah.
I think it all comes down to I did my bit.
But in your world, where there is no management, each person is doing their own thing, there's nobody to blame. I mean, I have kind of processes that I follow, but sometimes I choose not to follow them because there's a better way. And I don't have a fear I'm going to be blamed, because who's going to blame me? I don't have a boss.
But you're quite
Your customer will
organised,
blame you.
and you're quite self-disciplined and all that. Whereas if you've got a wider spectrum of people, you do have to have a framework around them.
Yeah.
They have to agree to a framework, like the rules of football, so that those people who aren't very self-disciplined can hold themselves together well enough to be successful at it.
But I think we're not talking about breaking the rules of football, are we? We're just talking about, doing a longer pass across the goal mouth or something like that. And there's a sort of informal that you don't pass across the goal. And if you do and it goes wrong, you get blamed.
Yeah.
But if you always do short passes, you can't be blamed.
No.
Even if actually the long pass would have been brilliant and would have worked really well.
Yeah.
So there's sort of, don't take a risk or you'll get blamed. You're right, the customer might blame me, but I normally diverge from the process if that's what the customer wants. If I'm doing it because of the customer.
But how does that work in a hierarchical organisation based on conformance and compliance?
But it can't work.
You've just shown yourself to be non-conformant and non-compliant. Yeah. You're a liability.
Even if you did the right thing. Even if you did the right thing.
It doesn't matter, because
that
was just one customer.
But the great thing is that nobody can tell me off. I can do things totally differently if I want.
But you're holding on to that bigger picture of this will serve me well in the future. Whereas the organisation is saying that lack of discipline won't serve us well in the future, because our whole organisation runs in compliance and conformance, which requires that discipline.
Every cog in the wheel must retain its position.
Every now and then I do a customer care course, and I think one of the ingredients, this customer care is getting all the basics right, and then on top of that, delighting the customer. Mm-hmm. And the basics are all about following a process. So when I turn up to do a course, they should make sure there's flip chart paper, there's pens. I just want the basics. They nearly always fail, by the way. But on top of that, you've got the delight factor. And that's really difficult because it's creative, it's magic, and there aren't rules for delight. So an example I like to give is, imagine if you go to visit a relative in hospital who's pretty much dying, and you've travelled an hour, and the traffic was worse than normal, and you get there at 2:01, and they go, sorry, visiting time's over. You'll have to come back next week. Yeah. And I can't come back next week because I'm away and my relative might be dead by next week. So really great customer care is where they say, you've missed the official visiting time, but just go in anyway. Just be quiet. You can go in there for 10 minutes. It'll be fine. And they actually break the rules. Now, they could be fired for that. But great service sometimes involves breaking the rules. And if you're an individual, you can think, the right thing to do the right thing, is to break the rules in this situation because you don't have a boss. But if you're part of a big, huge machine, a broken system, it's safer to just go, sorry, more than my job's worth to let you in there.
Yeah. And also, in this COVID thing, it was, for the good of other people.
Yeah.
We've got these draconian rules that you can't, that you have to follow, even though it makes no sense because you are going to die.
Yeah, exactly. And when I did a training course at Harrow Council, they wouldn't let me pull up my car outside for 30 seconds in the mayor's parking space to unload a load of things. It was pissing down with rain. They wouldn't let me bring my notes into the front door and then park. They made me go and park and carry my notes through the rain and get soaked.
But that's about knowing your
And
position.
they've got a process. They have to. They quite enjoyed their bit of power as well, I'm sure.
Yeah, of course.
But the main thing is, I've got a process, and if I let you park there and the mayor turns up, I'm going to get fired, even though he's not due to come today.
She didn't used to be a goods inward inspector, did she?
He was a man, actually.
Oh, okay.
But
wasn't the person I was thinking of.
Yeah, and I was like, "Do you know who I am?" And
Yeah,
you know,
you're the one who shouted at me all those years ago.
I'm personal friends with the big boss of Harrow Council.
Out in the rain, you.
But we've got a process, and you and your fancy suit have got to get soaked.
Yeah,
and that's what they did. And I still remember it. but the point is, there's no brownie points for breaking the rules. So why should you? And so that's a rule that everyone has. If you follow the process, you can't be blamed. But I think it's a rule that's not good when stuff reaches the customer, and it's a problem.
I think it's a rule that doesn't work even. Somebody's made the rules up for a certain context.
Yeah,
and it might be wrong.
It certainly doesn't work in knowledge work.
Yeah.
No,